Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'da, habati fillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Habati fillah, we ask that Allah Azza wa Jal, the Almighty, forgives us, accepts our good, protects us from kulli su' makruh. May Allah rectify our condition and affairs, increase our rizq, and bless us all with good health in everything that Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help and bless and preserve the Muslims everywhere. Ahabati fillah, from those qawa'id of the Salaf as-Salih ridwanullahi alayhim is sitting with the people of good, meaning sitting with Ahlul Sunnah, meaning sitting with Ahlul Ilm, meaning sitting with the Fudala, the people of goodness and righteousness and good conduct and good manners. And in light of this, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, Al-Jalisu Salih wa Jalisu Su ka Hamil al-Misk. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned that the righteous gathering and the gathering of wickedness is like the one who carries misk, carries like atar, musk, that, it smells good, and it's similar, or it's the opposite of sitting with the people of su, of evilness, of wickedness, that what they leave behind you is like the one who's an iron worker, and they leave, the dark, dusty stuff from iron that has been worked. That basically they leave behind a stench. They leave behind something which is negative and bad smelling. So when you sit with people who are negative rubs off on you. And when you sit with people who are evil, then evil generally is going to rub off on you. And when you sit with people of bid'ah, of religious innovation, then their religious innovation will rub off on you. And it doesn't mean that every single time you sit with them, you're finished. No. But the whole point is that your regular gatherings and your gatherings in general should be with good people, be with people who are righteous, people who are going to call you and remind you to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be in obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. People who are going to call you to refrain from evil and call you to be with the people of good and away from the people of evil and evil conduct. And people are going to call you to good manners and good conduct and uprightness. This is also something very important, and it is essential for us as Muslims to take good companions, people who are righteous and called to good and called to the Tawheed, the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Al-marru ala dina khalilihi, فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلْ. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, a person is upon the religion of his companions. So look to those who you take as companions. So again, from these narrations and other narrations and the countless narrations of the Salaf as-Salih, we see the importance of sitting with the people of good and sitting with the people of the Sunnah and sitting with people who call you to khair. Now, I want to mention something also along with this. This is am. So that means it's very general that you should always be attracted and to those people of good conduct and good manners and good religion. And that means even when choosing a spouse, and not just as far as your friends, your good friends, but what about those who are even going to be closer with you, who are going to share your bed, who are going to share your home, and that those intimacies? Well, even moreover, that you need to choose someone who's good, righteous, of good conduct, and calls you to good, who reminds you of good, who preserves your honor and preserves good. And all of this we gain from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. And the Quran and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam, it all indicates and points us in this direction of good companionship, good righteous companionship. And what closer companionship can you have besides a spouse? You want a good righteous spouse, a person of good conduct, a person of good character, a person who's going to remind you to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to love Allah, and to strive to gain the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what we see often is that many people, that they are hasty in choosing a spouse, and they're hasty even in choosing companions. So they find themselves with people who are far from the Sunnah, or they find themselves from people who are very negative and have negative conduct and manners and characteristics. And so that is not going to help you and aid you and bring you closer to Allah. Bel, it can take you further from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It can distract you from the Siratullahi al-Mustaqim. And it is imperative for us to take heed of the statement of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, "Al-mar'u ala dina khalilihi," a person is on the religion of his companion. So if you take a person of bid'ah, you take a person of deviancy, you take a person of sinfulness, then it's either one of two ways. Either they will be gaining from you and coming to goodness and the Sunnah, or they will be taking from you and pulling you away from goodness in the Sunnah. So it's so necessary to choose righteous people to be in your life. And when you find that you do not have righteous companions and righteous people, then those people, you probably need to kind of distance yourself. I don't say you cut yourself off from other believers, but if someone is negative and they are calling you to that which is not in accordance with the Sunnah, and they're calling you to that which is sinfulness, and they're calling you to that which will take you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or gain the anger of Allah azza wa jal, then those are surely not the best of companions. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to bless us with our righteous companions and to protect them and preserve them and rectify their conditions and affairs. Bless them all with khair and Jannat al-Firdaus. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد.